Hey, what's up? It's Madeline from Wine Folly, and we've got another box of wine to unpack. Our first bottle is 8 at the Gate. This is a 2016 Shiraz from Rattenbilly in South Australia. Our second wine is Lewin Estates 2018 Shiraz from Margaret River, Western Australia. You know what I think we're about to do? We're about to see just how diverse Australian terroir really is. Okay, so my challenge is to figure out what these wines are gonna taste like based on where they're from, and we're gonna see how close I am. Let's start with 8 at the Gate from Rattenbilly, South Australia. So 8 at the Gate comes from a lesser known region in South Australia called Rattenbilly, which is part of the Limestone Coast. And this region is actually famous for its soils. These soils called terra rossa, or red clay soils, which get everywhere, including in all of your clothes. But what makes the terra rossa soils special is how they affect the wines. They tend to make the red wines have a little bit more of a savory bent, which for this region, which is known for bombastic fruity wines, can make much more interesting tasting wines. So let's see if this wine produces those types of results. And I also am guessing that this wine is going to be huge and bold because that is what South Australia is famous for. So let's see if I'm right. Taking a look at the color, this wine is a deep ruby color. In fact, because it has 15% Cabernet Sauvignon blend into the blend, it doesn't look typical for a Shiraz, and it has a little bit more of that ruby and garnet color on the rim. All right, let's give it a sniff. On the nose, whoa, it smells like eucalyptus, menthol, a little bit of dried blackberry, plum sauce, and this almost like ironstone, wet ironstone smell. Let's give it a taste. Whoa, acidity, unexpected. For a wine coming from South Australia, we usually get this huge, soft, smooth palate, but that you could almost describe as flabby in some rare cases. But this wine has this vein of acidity that runs through, which is very uncharacteristic of the area. As far as the flavors, yes, I think they are much more savory in their styles than fruity, and perhaps that's because of those terra rossa soils. Our next wine comes from the opposite side of Australia in this little tiny region called Margaret River. Now, I have just tasted wines from this area and noted that they are very almost old world in their style. They have very ancient soils there in the numbers of billions of years old, which contributes to this very savory terroir character that comes through. You can really taste the minerality on these wines. So my guess is that this wine is going to have tons of minerality on the texture and the palate, and potentially be a little lighter bodied, because that's what I've tasted in the wines from Margaret River. So let's see if I'm right about this Shiraz. Taking a look at the color, wow, it is a deep purple color. This is definitely something I would expect from a Shiraz in general. On the nose, whoa, unexpected. I smell black cherries, sweet candied raspberry, rose hips, and a touch of baking spices. Not as savory and as minerally as I was expecting. Let's give it a taste. Despite the fact that this wine has a super low pH, which means high acidity, there is a plushness on the palate that I wasn't getting in the last wine. It has this generous, almost blueberry-like flavor right coming up at the front, then hits you with the acid and finishes with this fruit, sort of flower flavor. This was one of those wines where I was expecting to get savoriness and a lighter body. Yes, I do get lightness in the body because of that acidity, but there's so much going on in the palate. I feel like this wine is gonna age for some time. So I think this tasting shows that Australia is not a monolith when it comes to styles of wine, and even with its most famous grape, Shiraz. And you should probably be paying attention to these lesser known regions because they're starting to make very interesting wines. So if you like what we're doing and want to keep up, be sure to subscribe. We'll be continuing this adventure. And if you're a winer who makes a unique, distinctive wine with a story, check the link below on how you can submit your wines to be featured. Until next time, happy drinking. Cheers.